The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello. Today I have the privilege of connecting with Courtney Dawson, one of our amazing contributors. She is an internationally recognized evidential medium and ordained spiritualist minister, known for delivering clear, grounded, and soul-to-soul spirit connections. With over a decade of training, she not only brings depth and integrity, but she brings her heart to all of her work. She mentors and develops mediums all over the world and serves as a spiritualist in churches, offering private readings rooted in clarity and compassion. And her mission is to help others, especially you, trust in your gifts and build a personal and powerful relationship with spirit. So welcome, Courtney.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited because we're taking a twist on our theme today, which is being who you truly are, which is the theme for our October new moon issue. And in your article, One Foot in Spirit, One in Life, How I Found Wholeness, you really go deep into your journey of growing up spiritually sensitive, but feeling the need to hide that and hide many parts of yourself. So for those who haven't had a chance to read your article yet, maybe you can give a better synopsis than me.
Yeah. So I grew up in a Christian home and my parents were elders in the church. And ever since I was 2 years old, I've always had these spiritual experiences in the sense that I was seeing ghosts, people that were dead. Didn't know they were dead because they looked as solid as you and I. And my religious family just didn't have the ability to understand what was going on and, better yet, support me. So many of the experiences, had I had knowledge and a support system, could have really helped alleviated some of that anxiety. And also, too, growing up in that Christian home, there's a lot of doctrine and dogma around spirit communication and connection. And how I was raised and raised to believe is that if we were seeing any energies that were not angels, but they looked maybe like our loved ones, that it was something more nefarious in disguise. And so I was just riddled with fear. And so what I did is I shut down my abilities as much as I could. So ignoring them, not paying attention to them, but doing that actually really impacted my feelings of self-worth, caused anxiety, definitely struggled with some mental health issues when we start having all of these emotions and there's nowhere to go, nowhere to process them, not feeling safe in your body, in life. It was really, really hard. And I was always really intuitive outside of shutting down those mediumistic abilities. I actually didn't realize they were mediumistic abilities until I got into development. But it was these intuitive psychic abilities, they were always strong. I knew when people were going to call. I knew when something was going on with somebody I was close to. I was able to know information that really I shouldn't have had any way of knowing. And so I always knew that I knew that I knew things. Didn't know how, but I knew, and they were always right. And I really trusted that. So one part of self I was denying, but there was this other aspect of self that was so, so strong. I couldn't deny it. And I actually did have a lot of support in with my family in regards to that because they always believed that it was God or the divine talking to me. And it could very well have been, could have been, but I really felt it was like my soul, that inner guidance system talking to me, and I just trusted it. And the first big, big thing that I trusted was knowing when it was time to end my marriage, which was really painful and hard. But that was a spiritual awakening that took me on this journey of self discovery. And I feel it was a return back to self because through that, I met some beautiful practitioners, Reiki masters, mediums, intuitives. And through that experience, it was like, okay, all those questions that I had that were never answered, I got answered. I realized that I had these abilities for a reason. It wasn't that I was cursed or I was a black sheep. And better yet, much of what I was experiencing wasn't bad. It was very much of the light and of love. I just didn't have the understanding. And this is where, as a mediumship teacher, as a spiritual mentor, I really want to educate people because I think knowledge is power. And I realized when I started sitting in a development circle, getting the training, having a mentor who could support me, provide me answers, direction, guidance, all of it. It was this remembrance of who I really was. And those parts that I shut off, that I ignored, that I was ashamed of, fearful of, it started healing. And I think that healing is just a continuous journey because there was decades of ignoring that, denying who I was. And it affected me on a lot of levels. But with spirit's grace and love, and through the support of having a mentor, I started to feel whole again. I started to feel confident. I started to feel worthy. And I knew that if I was having these experiences, that I was not the only one who was going through this. And so that's why I'm pretty visible on social media, sharing my philosophies and my own experiences so people can feel seen and validated in what they're going through.
Mm. Wow. When you said the word safety, I had this question and I'm like, gosh, I really hope it aligns, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm so curious. When you were kind of having to shut off and silence that, we'll call it the spirit side of you versus the human side of you, did you feel safer in the spiritual world or did you feel safer in the human world? Because you talked a little bit about that, but I'm wondering, was there a sense of safety in that spiritual world because you were able to like validate that what you were seeing was real? Do you see where I'm trying to go with this?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I really felt like it was by shutting off, it was disconnecting me from the spiritual realms. So in that sense, I felt safe. So I felt more safe spiritually, and then I felt more safe in the human because I didn't have the knowledge that I do today, but I knew enough intuitively that the spiritual realms and the physical realms very much coexist. And as a young child, as a teenager, I knew I had to shut that down because it was very overwhelming. Seeing things, feeling things, knowing things, it was a lot. But I did, I felt safer spiritually because I knew that I was closing that door to those things that I didn't understand. And then the byproduct was is that I did start to feel a bit safer in the physical, but what we avoid still festers and eventually it comes to the surface, and I'm glad it did when it did.
Yeah. Do you remember that one moment where you were like, I'm going to choose this special power and ability again, and what that felt like?
Absolutely. So I had went to a spiritualist church. They did a demonstration of mediumship, and it was part of the catalyst that really brought these abilities, these mediumistic abilities to the front where there was no denying, there was no hiding, and there was clarity that came with it. So I went to this demonstration in mediumship. So I saw a medium on a platform giving messages, and there was a spirit communicating with me. Well, at the end of the evening, I ended up being one of the people that gave a message, not on stage, but to somebody else, and I saw the healing power that it gave to people, the 2 people that I gave the message to, and it was in this exact moment I knew why I was born, why I've had these experiences and abilities, and what I was meant to do with them. It was so surreal, it was profound, and I think how much of an impact it made with me and in my life. The English language is very limiting as far as words, I think, but it literally changed the course of my life. And I knew that if something could bring and give people so much love, peace, clarity, healing, like all of that, then there wasn't anything that I needed to fear, but I needed to get understanding and training to figure out, okay, what do I do with this? What's the next step? And I was very blessed to be able to go back to that spiritualist church, get a mentor, and have someone who really took me under their wing and was able to give me very, very good grounded guidance that was really pivotal in me pursuing this work professionally, this this role of service, because it is of service, and being able to make an impact in the world as an ethical medium and help remove the fear of death. It's more than just, oh, I talked to the dead. Well, they're not dead, they just don't have bodies. That's my belief. But when we are able to bring through communication from the other world, it is more than a novelty. It's more than just watching a television show and go, oh, this is cool. Or like, it's not a novelty. It is something so sacred. And when we're able to remove the fear of death, improve the continuity of life in the hereafter, it brings more than just comfort to the bereaved. It helps shift the way they view their lived life when you realize that nothing can ever damage or tarnish you because you're an eternal being. It's like this weight or this weight, really this weight or this veil is lifted off of you, and there's a sense of freedom that comes in. You know that everything is going to be okay at the end of the day. You don't have to worry, and you can be more confident in the choices that you make for yourself. Maybe take some more risks as far as, God, I'm at this job and it is sucking the life out of me. I'm going to go pursue something that I'm passionate about. That's what I'm referring to, right? And it really can just really, and it does, it changes people's lives. When you view life through a different lens, you can't help but be changed. And when your heart is touched by the power and the presence of the Spirit, you can't go back. You can't go back. Your life is forever changed.
Okay, I definitely wanna go deeper into this. I have, like, so many thoughts because I would say I don't have a fear of dying. I have a fear of the way that I will leave this earth. I totally believe in the same thing you believe. I believe our spirits reincarnate and come back and, have soul contracts and all those types of things. But I feel as though the fear that I have in the way that I die is a past life fear. I don't feel that it's a present life fear. I know I was burned at the stake very like horribly as a witch. I know I was tortured in Egypt through past life regression stuff. And so I have this fear of dying and suffering. So how do you when you say like you can transform your thought or belief on death when you know that we can reincarnate, how do you deal with somebody's like real life fears like that?
Absolutely. So, there's two sides of the coin. Some people that believe in reincarnation, some that don't. I never believed in it until I had a really powerful experience. It wasn't a regression, but I was sitting in a development circle and our teacher led us through a meditation, but I went somewhere else. And I saw my husband, who I'm married to today, and he's my second husband, and he was there. And we were somewhere that looked very much like the United Kingdom. And I'm certain I've had a past life there. And I was a different woman, and I looked like maybe from the 40s, 50s, something like that. And I was in this old school car, and I was driving across train tracks, and I got hit, and I died. And in that life, we never had children. In this life, we've never had children. And ever since I was a young kid, I used to be so scared driving over train tracks. As an adult, I would get anxiety and kept my breath would catch and I would grip the steering wheel until I found out, oh, okay, so that's what happened. But guess what? I don't have to carry that with me in this life. And so, and then I reframed it for myself, realizing I passed in that life, but it doesn't mean that that has to keep repeating. I'm choosing differently. So I replaced that fear with love. I replaced it with that just because I've had an experience, I don't have to feed into that and recreate that for myself. I'm choosing differently. And that's just an intention that I've made. Fear is something all of us experience at some level. But I think if we dig deeper into it, it's an opportunity for us to heal maybe a false belief system, programming, something that we picked up from somebody else or maybe read. There's all we I really feel that we need to get to the root cause of fear, not just say, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna fear anymore." No, 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 but hold on, you have fear for a reason. So then your body doesn't feel safe, your nervous system doesn't feel safe. Let's get to the root cause of where that comes from. Let's address it and let's heal it, even if it is a past life, right? And I know I've had other past lives. I don't focus too much on them because I think if we do that, we're actually robbing this lifetime of what we're here to actually do.
Inside the Sovereign community, you'll find more than a social platform. You'll find many private spaces led by women who walk the path with you, like Abby from Canada. Connect with her in her sacred space called Reclaimed and Rise. Step into the Maven Haven with Ebony from the UK, or join the Open Heart Collective with Bonnie from the US. These are just some of the soul sanctuaries curated by conscious women for conscious connection. Come find your space inside the Sovereign community today. We're going to go into steps to our sovereign self because I really want to focus on your philosophy with your school and how people can become more connected with spirit. And we're talking about, us in this lifetime versus past lives, but we really want to show our listeners today how they can begin to lead and guide themselves through their own connection to their soul and how to do that. And so you're going to provide us some of the steps and philosophies that you do in your own school and how you teach people to tap into this new connection with their own spirit.
Absolutely. So, my school is called the Connected Spirit School. My podcast is the Connected Spirit. And that really means that it's about honoring who we are as a triune being, body, mind, and spirit. We have to honor thy spirit, know thyself before we can start, or in my opinion, my belief, should be doing before we start to connect to the world of spirit, because we do not want our endeavors with the spirit world to bypass our human experience as well. We want it to complement it, not take away from it. So the first thing is taking time every single day, whether that is when you just wake up in the morning, when you're having a shower, when you're walking the dog, maybe on your coffee break at work, maybe it's when you're out on your deck as you're unwinding, maybe even with a glass of wine at the end of the night, but taking time to check in with you and checking in with, like, your thermostat, taking your temperature, where are you at? And the first step is really connecting in with your body, because your body is the vessel for your soul. Your soul is the part of you that animates that physical body. So let's connect with the body first. And we can do this several different ways. And a visualization that I use with my students in the school is sitting down, gently closing your eyes, removing all external stimuli, and then just taking a moment and noticing, witnessing what the body feels like. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Is there aches, tension? Just observing and then feeling into that and allowing those muscles and tendons and tissues, that physical vessel, to let you know what it needs. Does it need rest? Does it need peace? Does it need nurturing? Your body is this incredible vessel that speaks to you through every experience of your life. And listening to it, noticing the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions that come up is the first step. And then the second thing is connecting to your soul self. And I like to visualize by just placing hands on heart and gently closing the eyes and visualizing a beautiful flower, any shape or color, in the center of your chest. And this flower represents your soul self, the part of you that's timeless, ageless, and eternal, the part of you that will continue on in the afterlife. And if you decide, come back and experience the humanity of being a physical body, a human again. And so just breathing into the heart space And as you do, just begin to notice the warmth, the energy within that space. And then visualizing a flower, any size, any color. And as you breathe effortlessly, just allowing the breath to move in and out with that natural rhythmic breathing, noticing each petal slowly opening one by one by one. And you can feel that warmth begin to spread across your entire chest. When all of those petals are fully open, you can sense, see, or feel a beautiful ray of golden light coming out. And that is your soul. And that soul has a language that you know intuitively. And that light begins to fill not only your chest, but every fiber, every particle, every wavelength of your being until you are encapsulated in this beautiful golden light. And when you sit in this energy, you're sitting in the power of your soul. And this is the part that will give you wisdom and guidance about who you are, why you're on the path you are right now, the next steps to take. By anchoring into this space, it gives you a sense of groundedness and connection to who you are. It replaces confusion with clarity, fear with freedom, anxiety with peace. And that light carries ancient wisdom. And you can tap into this light, this wisdom, by simply being in this power. And as this light begins to expand out beyond the skin of your body, it fills you, fills the room in a beautiful orb of light. And sitting in this space, you can feel your energy become lighter and brighter. Your thoughts lift away from those matters of a physical nature. And you become more connected, more in tune with your soul self, your higher self. And if you rest in this place of peace, of tranquility, the answers you seek, the guidance you require will come to you effortlessly. It's in this state of receptivity that all knowledge needed, known, and to come is accessible to you. And you can sense, visualize, or feel that energy and that wisdom and that light coming down from source like a waterfall, trickling in through the crown chakra, drop by drop, ray by ray. And the parts of you that were seeking are now full. The parts of you that were needing are now satisfied. The parts of you that were needing healing are made whole. And when you've received all that you require in this moment, you can allow that golden light to retract and come in closer and closer to the physical body. And as it does, you can feel yourself on the chair, the weight of gravity on your body, your feet flat on the floor, the earth beneath you. And that light goes back into that ray and tucks back into that flower. And the petals begin to close gently one by one by one. And the beauty of this connection is you can access this sacred place whenever, wherever. And you don't have to seek anything outside of yourself because you are all you need. You always have been and always will be. And so it is.
Wow. So I had a yellow flower. And as soon as you and it was open before you said all the petals thing, and as soon as you said to start retracting your light, I had immediately closed it down and closed my hands as tight as I possibly could so nobody else could have it. It was so powerful. That was amazing, amazing, and I really felt like it was mine and nobody else's, and I was kind of engulfed in this, like, golden suit, if you will. Yeah, it was just like kind of slick against my body. It was really powerful. And so these are the types of things that you teach in your school?
Absolutely. So, the first step to being able to connect to the world of spirit is we want to start with step one, being able to connect to your own soul, recognizing what you feel like emotionally, physically, energetically. And then step two, we work with you in being able to recognize the energy of another soul. So, somebody who is still here in the physical world. Because in a mediumship reading, there's a minimum of four people involved. There's the medium and at least one of their spirit guides, the recipient, and the loved one in spirit. So we need to be able to recognize the different energies involved. So that way, the medium is very clear about the information they're receiving. They know if they're working psychically or mediumistically, if the information is coming from their sitter or the spirit communicator. So we break it down into digestible steps. So connecting to your own soul, then working with soul to soul connections, which is psychically. So that would be example like if I were to read you, I would connect to your energy, describe and sense and feel where you're at right now. And then once we have that baseline of knowing our energy, the client or recipient's energy, then we invite the world to spirit, a loved one who's passed to the other side to step forward and to blend with our energy. And because we know and recognize the other two energies, it makes it very easy for the medium to distinguish. Okay, I'm now sensing this. I'm seeing this. This is all new and this wasn't here before. And so we can describe that, and by getting validation from the recipient, we're able to then validate who the communicator is and the source of the information.
Oh, wow. Now, when somebody's having this connection with spirit, is it always in the awake state? Because I feel like I get connections in my dreams, and that's the only time that I get them. I don't get them really. I mean, I have the psychic things where I can predict things and then they come
Yeah.
true, but the messages for me only come in my dreams. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Very, very common. So there's so many different ways that people can connect to spirit. So we can connect to spirit in dream state, which is actually the easiest way to connect because in the day-to-day, if we're busy with kids, work, etc., the mind is too active. And if the mind is active, it's really, really hard to be able to know when spirit's trying to give you a message. But when you're asleep, those brain waves are very, very calm and relaxed. That's the perfect time through development, through training, we're able to put your mind or your brain into that same wavelength so you're receptive to spirit's messages, but you're still alert.
Oh, wow. This is
Mhm.
so fascinating. Okay. I think the listeners are going to need to know a little bit more about your school because they're going to want to go to it and start taking your classes. So, what types of offerings do you have in your school?
So we have a bunch of stuff that I can't reveal quite yet that
Okay.
is on the lookout. So if you visit my website and join the newsletter, you'll be the first to know. But we do have the Connected Spirit School. So I teach online classes and workshops. So we have the mediumship mastery circles and they are based on different levels. So those just getting into mediumship, those that are a little bit more well acquainted, and those that are working at a professional level. So this year I'm running three circles, and we are helping people remove blocks and doubts, be able to connect to the spirit world with ease. And we use the connected spirit method, which is my trade word or trademarked methodology, and it simplifies the development process for people who say, I've tried, I've meditated, it doesn't work for me. Honey, I'm neurodivergent, I have ADD. If it works for me, I promise it'll work for you, right? So we approach that through a holistic lens. So instead of just teaching you how to meditate and make a link with spirit, we're actually taking you step by step of what is needed in order to connect to the spirit world clearly, consistently, and confidently. But we're not just teaching you the mechanics, we're teaching you the personal development as well. Because when you start working with the spirit, there's a lot of inner healing that takes place. So we're creating this sacred container for you to feel supported and seen while that's taking place simultaneously with your development. It's incredible. And then they get free Voxer mentorship with me once a week. It's incredible, and we literally have people from all 4 corners of the world. I'm just so honored to be able to support the up and coming ethical mediums. I love it. It's such an honor and privilege.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here today. If anybody wants to connect with Courtney, of course, she's in our community, community.sovereign-magazine.com, but all of her details will be in the show notes on how to find her, how to get to her newsletter, how to get to her school, all of these things. So don't you worry, you'll be able to find them. And guess what? She's going to be coming back for some more. So look forward to her in the future. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.